Okay, thank you all for joining us today. My name is Corey Greenberg, and I'm the Outreach Manager here at PacPrep. We are so excited to share what makes us special with all of you. We work exclusively one-to-one, so one student to one teacher, and we do this online, which means tons of flexibility for families and also the opportunity for us to handpick the perfect teachers for each student, not just who happens to live nearby. We send the learning materials directly to families. So after we learn about each student and curate their curriculum, those materials will be delivered to their doorstep. Because it's one-to-one, the learning is happening more and more efficiently every day. And each child doesn't become lost in a sea of other students and other learning levels. The focus is really on them and their goals. We are so pleased to share why we truly believe this model is the most thoughtful, student-centered approach available. Before we dive in, a couple of notes. You'll receive a copy of this recording, so no need to take notes unless you'd like to. You should find a Q&A option at the bottom of your screen, and you're welcome to add your questions there, and we'll answer them at the end. We will get to as many as we can, but if you have any follow-up questions, we'd love to hear from you directly. So I'm going to give you a quick preview of what we're going to talk about today. First, I'll introduce you to our amazing team, and then we'll dive into why our philosophy and teaching model really helps all students reach their full potential. Then we'll tell you a little bit about the teachers at PacPrep, and you'll get to hear directly from one of them, Beth Davidson, and even get a glimpse into one of her live lessons with a student. Next, we'll hear from Erica about the thoughtful way she designs the curriculum for each individual student. Molly will give us the details on the admissions process, tuition, and different course options. Next, we'll describe the engaging events that we offer to the community. And then lastly, we'll leave time for the Q&A at the end. So here is your panel for today. Like I said, my name's Corey. I'm the outreach manager here. My job is to connect with members of the community to share a little bit about us and make some great connections with professionals in the education field so we can support our students in a holistic way and also have some great resources to refer them to.
Thanks, Corey. I'm Jesse Roseland, head of school. I founded Pacific Preparatory in 2002 because I really wanted to create a school where all types of learners can thrive academically. So my idea, based in teaching 8th grade, I got a multiple subject teaching credential, taught 90 8th graders, 3 classes, and I love teaching, but I saw that there were so many students that were slipping through the cracks. They were either bored because they needed more enrichment opportunities or more engaging material, or they were not succeeding because they needed more support and more remediation. So my idea was to just form a one-on-one school where you have one teacher and one kid, make the curriculum super interesting and flexible, and the teaching style gauge to the student's learning style. And that would help each kid do the very best they can do. And so that's what we've done here.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jesse. I am Molly Tweeton. I'm the admissions manager. So I'm your first point of contact. I'll talk with you about your goals, what you're looking for, and see if PacPrep is a good fit for you. And then I'm also a good point of contact for you throughout the year. So if you have any questions that come up, I am also there to add any additional support as needed.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Erica Sneath. I'm the curriculum specialist at PacPrep. I work with our families and teachers to make sure lessons are creative, meeting students' needs, and engaging each of our learners within this one-on-one learning environment.
And I am Beth Davidson, and I teach math, science, and our STEM-based classes for mainly middle school and high school.
Thanks, everyone. Okay, so let's dive in. Why PacPrep? So we are an accredited one-to-one online private school. What makes us unique is that one-to-one teaching model. That means that every student meets live virtually with their teachers every single day. There are no group classes. Our curriculum is carefully tailored to each student and designed to engage their unique interests and learning style. Because teachers are actively engaging with their students every single day, they develop truly meaningful relationships and become mentors to them, getting to know them not only as students, but as whole individuals. Because of that customized model, PacPrep is equipped to work with every student. We have students with diagnosed learning differences, as well as twice exceptional and gifted students, some of whom may have mental health challenges or other reasons that a traditional school setup isn't ideal for them. Any gaps in learning can be quickly identified and closed, so transition back to a more traditional school environment is easier, or families may choose to stay with us through their senior year. We actually have a few graduating with us this spring. Our leadership team, teachers, and community partners support every student through every step of the process. Because of our model, it's common for students to really exceed those grade level expectations, and we see students develop a real love of learning, that increased sense of confidence and self-advocacy. So now I'm going to turn it over to Molly to go over the different options that we offer to families.
Thank you, Corey. So as we look at course load options for your family, we have students who take 1 to 2 courses with us to supplement their other coursework at their schools, or we have students who enroll with us full-time. So that means those core courses plus any other electives that they're looking at. And then a full-time student is about 8 to 10 hours per week of instruction. However, we can also add to that to mimic a more rigorous schedule or that traditional school model if that's what you're looking at. Our courses are, of course, those core subjects, electives such as a language, art classes, any of those special deep dive subjects that your student really wants to be engaged in. We're happy to help foster that so that they're prepared as they go in and look for a major as they are entering college, as well as AP courses as well. And we do customize those to make sure that those are set in a timely manner with whenever they are taking that exam. And then we have an academic calendar that we follow. However, we do have rolling admissions, so we're able to support transfer students at any point in the year. So I'm happy to work with your family on what your goals are and figure out how we can meet those needs at any point in the year.
Thanks, Molly. Okay, so I have a quick video that I want to share with you from one of our parents who had a 9th grader with us.
My name is Mariam, and our son Ari was a Pacific preparatory student as we bridged from his previous school environment to his next school environment over the course of a little less than a year. One of the impacts that we saw over the course of his time with Pacific Prep was a greater sense of agency in his learning. So as an example, his humanities teacher was working with him on writing about music, because our son really likes music and he likes playing music and making music. He asked our son to write a review of a song. And then that went well. And so then he asked him to write a review of an album. And so in the process of doing that, they decided, hey, wouldn't it be cool to do a blog? And so he helped our son set up a blog. And now our son, even once that course is over, he's still doing the blog. And so he really feels ownership of that and agency over it. And that he's like, you know, his education isn't something that is happening to him. It's something that he is part of creating. My name is Mariam, and our...
Okay, I love what Miriam said about how Ari's experience with PacPrep was so rich because it didn't feel like the teaching was done to him. He was really part of the process. The way this works so well is because of our amazing teachers. They are graduates of some of the most prestigious universities, and many hold teaching credentials, special education credentials, and advanced degrees. The vetting process is really quite rigorous, and we provide lots of ongoing support, as well as the freedom to be creative and thoughtful about their students' learning needs. As I mentioned earlier, we actually have one of those amazing people here today, Beth. Beth has been a teacher for 15 years, and she's passionate about teaching all things STEM. She's highly creative in her lesson planning and is truly beloved by her PacPrep students and their families, who've offered glowing reviews of her work with their kids. She's currently teaching math, science, engineering, and robotics with us. So we're going to get a glimpse here of Beth working with her 7th grade student, Ben, on math. This clip is actually at the end of their lesson when they're having a little fun playing a Jeopardy game. So we'll go ahead and watch the clip, and then Beth can tell you a little bit more about herself and her experience working with PacPrep students.
Okay,
What would you like to try next?
subtraction for 200.
Subtraction for 200. Here you go, man. Okay, D minus 7 is equal to -9. You're welcome to use your paper. We can write it
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
It's important. So it's subtraction. So what are we going to solve it with?
Addition.
Okay.
Is it -2?
You got it, man. Perfect. So we'd hit space bar for correct response. What is -2? Good job. So I'm going to give you your points. All right, you're at 900 points. And let's go back to the questions. All right. What you think, man?
Multiplication for 200.
You're going to go straight through, aren't you? Awesome. Okay.
I'm just gonna finish this row
Okay.
by the end of today.
All right. So we have -7x. And see, here's another example. They put the -7 out front. Okay. -7x is equal to -63. Excuse me.
-7 times 9 equals -60.
Perfect. 9. So we will check it. What is 9? You got it, man. Good job. All right. So I'm assuming you want division for 200.
Yeah.
Hello again, I'm Beth. This was just a quick glimpse at what we do to make our classes and our sessions interactive and fun, engaging. I love all math and science related activities, and I really want that to come across to my students. To me, math and science are so much more than a worksheet or just a flat book. Everything that we learn around us is math and science related. And that's why I want to be working with kids one-on-one. We can ask questions, we can deep dive into their special interest. Some of the different things that I do in my classes, when we start each lesson, I use kind of a scaffolding system. For example, we might use Cornell notes where they fill in as we go through our first lesson. This is a great way for older kids to be able to focus in on the key aspects of the lesson. Then at the end of the class, we can email it so they can keep it in their Google Drive that we teach them to set up and stay organized. And then at the end of the week, when I do our weekly parent wrap-up emails, I can attach all the work that we've done earlier in the week so that the parents can review what your child has learned, as well as see what we're going to be working on next week. So again, we start with the notes, then we work problems together. They're able to write down and take examples that we work back and forth with. Then the next step is they have more independence work. They're going to start working it all the way through. This is a good time for me to kind of watch. I do the check step. I make sure they're mastering the content before we move on. If we're not quite there, we spiral review back. We do a few more examples together before we move on. And then I always try to end our lesson with something fun, hands-on. I love Jeopardy. I love online video games. We even had one the other day. We were working on rotation and moving shapes around. And there was a great game called Messing with Mona Lisa, where we take the painting and we flip it and we rotate it. And it was just a great way for the kids to bring in multi different ideas, art and math, and marry them together to look at what we've learned together. So this is just a little bit of what we do and why it makes it so much special.
Thanks, Beth. It's always good to hear how you're engaging our students. In fact, seeing this little clip with Ben reminded me of when we were in our parent-teacher conference with Ben's family, and they laughed with him because they said that he, after class, was like, I didn't understand why Beth kept saying that the answer is what is -2 or what is. It's because Jeopardy, the concept of the question was kind of foreign to him, which makes sense, but he was crushing the math aspect. So I'm going to share a little bit about our curriculum, like what is it that we do in this one-on-one world and what does it mean to customize? So our lessons start based on parent input, family input, what is or isn't working for the student, where have they come from, what do they need, what gaps for understanding do they have, what do they like, who are they as a child first, friend, who are they as a neighbor, tell me about your child. And then I put together what's called a learner profile and share that with our teachers. So our teachers get a feel for who the student is, and then they're able to customize their lessons based on grade level standards and federal standards as well. We also look at student strengths and their personality to hand match our teachers, so that you see the lovely clip of Ben and Beth. That's typical. The relaxed learning environment, that's a dynamic part of what we do, in part because we want it to work. I'm going to explain to you kind of what you're seeing in those visuals on this slide. So from left to right, this is another example of Beth's lovely teaching. In the integers lesson, working on a Sudoku puzzle, or depending on where you're from, maybe you say it differently. I don't know, Sudoku, that's how I say it. But essentially making that game and puzzle come to life. So it's not just problems written down, but it's like actually kind of solving and utilizing another way of thinking. The second photo from the left is an actual resource that we mail to our students in history. So essentially they look at artifacts and secondary sources, and those are mailed directly to the student's home as well as the teacher's home. And then they'll look at them together to kind of make history come to life, as opposed to just an image in a textbook. The middle photo is based on an executive functioning support. So you'll see a few color coordinated folders, as well as there's some note cards there in addition to tech tools such as a timer and pens. This is because our teachers work with their students one-on-one. For blue folder means homework, green folder means science, essentially whatever the student needs, in addition to things like timers, the light is on, this means X, or take out your sticky note that's green, it's going to go alongside your science homework. The picture to the right of that is an example of how we can make chemistry come to life. So in addition to those labs that we'll mail to you, including chemicals, we can also make the bonds, I think I'm saying that correctly, come to life so that the student can do something while they're exploring the lecture and understanding the content. And then the photo to the far right is our crochet frog, which is a lovely hit. Basically, instead of a live dissection, the student was more comfortable with art and fashion and loved to knit. So the teacher was like, well, let's learn how to crochet together, as opposed to doing a formal animal dissection. And then I also wanted to give a little tidbit about what Ben's family shared in our science conference. So Ben is a student that you just saw working with Beth. Ben's family came from public school formerly, and they were really nervous about science in particular. And they said, like, okay, we chatted regularly before instruction started. How's this science thing going to work? What are you going to do about science? Okay, Erica, can you help me? I'm still not understanding science, which is totally normal. How does it work virtually over Zoom? But what was really exciting is in our parent-teacher conference in March, they said, honestly, Ben has done more science in a few months at Pacific Preparatory than he's done throughout his entire middle school career in public school. Part of that is resources, part of that is mailing materials, part of that is school resources in a public school. We totally recognize that. I'm a former classroom teacher myself. I get it. But what was really nice is I felt like he basically Ben's dad captured what I've been trying to explain is, I promise it'll work, just give it a chance. And that was really nice to feel that feedback, and in part because I want Ben to experience science in a hands-on way.
Thank you so much, Erica. Okay, so now we're going to hear from Molly again about the admissions process, the cost, and the different learning options.
Perfect. So we do have flexible scheduling. So as you look at how this is going to work for your family, we are able to take into account any vacations that you already have scheduled. If you have ongoing doctor's appointments or commitments, we're able to set that schedule at the beginning of the semester to make sure that we're accommodating all of your needs, but also making sure that the student and the teacher has that consistent routine. That is super important for all parties involved. Additionally, we are able to condense semesters. So if a student is on medical leave and they wanted to get back in time to be able to go back with their classmates for spring semester, we are able to accommodate that condensed semester and make sure that they are ready to hit the ground running with their classmates at their brick and mortar school. So really this scheduling is about what's going to be best for your student and how can we make that work. As we look at tuition, our courses start at about $5,000 per course per semester. A full-time student is around $20,000 for a semester. Again, that pricing is dependent on your goals, what you're looking for. So I'm happy to work with your family and come up with a customized proposal so that you have a very clear idea of that cost before you make any commitment. And then as we're looking at that pricing specifically, I do like to highlight that it is on par with other online programs. but we do pay our teachers for their prep time because we really want to ensure that our teachers are feeling supported and that we're able to keep them with us long term so they can have those lasting relationships and mentoring relationships with your students. And also, additionally, we do have our curriculum specialist on staff who does a great job making sure that our curriculum is thoughtfully customized for each individual student. So I would love to speak with you, talk about your goals and needs, and make sure that you have a clear proposal to go off of as you're looking at your options.
Thanks, Molly. Okay, I want to, of course, address the elephant in the room. What about their peers? So at PacPrep, we've chosen to focus just on the academic piece of your child's day, and to do that extremely well. Because students make really efficient progress through their curriculum, there's no hiding in the back of the class doodling, for example. There's free time for them to connect with their peers through their real interests. We know that it's an approach that feels outside of the box from our traditional view of education, but it works extremely well for kids who struggle with that intersection of social and academic demands, or for families just wanting that flexibility of increased free time. That said, we do have a few community events. We have book club, we have Model UN, and different webinars for families. And all of these activities are open to the wider community, and they're listed on our website for you to check out. So that brings us to the questions. Looks like I do have a couple here. The first one is, how do you recruit and then select the right teachers for each student?
Yeah, I'm happy to address that. So we are super passionate about our teachers because we want them to be a solid fit for each of our students. So a quick example, I think about one of our high schoolers. The mom came to me and she said, "Erica, he's really, really shy. And please be mindful of that because I don't want the teacher to come in too strong or too bubbly. I'm sorry, I don't know if that's the right words to say, but she was like, I don't want the teacher to overpower him. I want him to be encouraged to speak up and to utilize his voice, but I need somebody that's going to be thoughtful and caring within that approach." So we look at personalities, we look at expertise, we look at credentials, we look at all of these pieces within the puzzle, and then we look at your schedule and try to find the right match. That's how we hand match. But then we also have professional development opportunities where teachers get together across grade level teams as well as subject areas to collaborate and make sure that their lessons are creative.
Awesome. Thanks, Erica. Okay, it looks like we have a question here about how many hours per week do students spend with their teachers with a full course load? Molly, would you like to take that one?
Yes, absolutely. So generally for a full-time student for just the core courses, it's going to be about 8 to 10 hours per week. However, a lot of times families want to mimic a more traditional school schedule. So that is going to increase those hours. So some students with us might be about 15 hours of that one-on-one instruction per week. And then that's where those customized proposals will come into play so that I make sure that I send your family all that information up front. So the adjustments with tuition will be very clear. So you know that as before you go into it.
Okay, great. And another question, what options do you have for courses outside the core courses? Molly, that probably is one for you as well.
Yes, absolutely. So unlike a traditional school, we don't have just a set list of courses that you can pick from. We have some that we've done in the past that we can definitely tell you options that we've done before. But a lot of times we talk to you about what your goals are, what your students' interests are, and then we come up with a customized course based on your students' interests. So that might look like a course on sailing where they look into like all of the specific terminology, but then also like wind patterns, everything that goes with that. Or that might be a deep dive into a specialized science course or robotics. So best answer to that question is I would love to talk to you one-on-one in a specific call to talk about the age of your student and our teachers to make sure that we can come up with a customized course specifically for your child.
Okay, great. I have this one I think I'm going to send to Beth. What about homework and what about tests?
Okay, homework. Yes. As both a teacher and a mom of teenagers, I know homework can be a source of contention, right? So when you work one-on-one, we are covering a lot more material than you would in a traditional setting. That being said, we are able to work back and forth. I'm watching your child perform all of the work that's been given, as well as we're constantly assessing where they are. So being the fact that I love quality over quantity, we're going to cover the material and make sure that each problem I design for your student is thoughtfully prepared and is exactly what they need to build the blocks for the next session. Now, if you have certain goals for your family about homework, or if you want to talk to me specifically in a class that I'm teaching, we're always open to talk with you and make sure that the homework situation works best for your student and for your family.
Great. And Erica, did you want to speak quickly to tests?
Yeah, absolutely. So our teachers use a variety of what's called formative assessments and also summative. Formative is the live observation tools, quick checks, follow-up. Okay, Ben's solving this problem. How's he doing? Check the box. He knows it, but Ben thinks he's playing Jeopardy. There's also the traditional summative assessments, which is like your project, your essay, your test, right? Our teachers use a combination of those so that students get the authentic checkpoints to make sure that they're getting the grades that they need and feel successful. But it's so much more than that because there's live observational data throughout the entire session, every session.
Great, thank you. I think that is about all the time that we have today. I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us for this open house. We hope that you have a sense now of why PacPrep is such a great option for families wanting that flexibility and the highly personalized educational experience. Feel free to reach out to me directly. My email is listed here. You'll also be receiving a link to this recording via email, and you're welcome to respond to me that way. So we hope to welcome you to the PacPrep family and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.